Bubba better hope his head's on tight. Here's your spooky spot on the Royal Baubles, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Spirit Halloween exclusive, the Leatherface Pretty Woman Mask Resin Bobblehead Statue. The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin. It is all the more tragic that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were about to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just before we the first thing this is going downhill real fast. How about the first thing we do, though, is figure out how tall the Spirit Halloween exclusive Royal Baubles, Leatherface Pretty Woman Mask, Royal Bobblehead statue is in inches and centimeters. That's a bit of a mouthful. Go ahead and grab the tape measure right now. And doing the same thing I just finished saying, Leatherface stands 7 inches in height, or the bobblehead's going to be about 18 centimeters tall. Taking a trip to my local Spirit Halloween store, which I kid you not is now 5 minutes down the road from me, that's asking serious trouble. Either way, going to my local Spirit Halloween store and going down the aisles, they had 4 bobbleheads. They had the Leatherface. They had also a ghost face. They also had a Michael Myers that doesn't have face in his name. And they also had Gizmo sitting inside of a car. I probably won't be picking up the Gizmo. And I had planned to go back and pick up the Michael Myers first. And sure enough, I had gone back and Michael Myers was gone. Now, whether or not he actually was shot 6 times or not, I can't validate that. But I can tell you, Michael Myers had vanished off the lawn. I ended up still instead picking up the Leatherface. And not to say that Leatherface was less of an interesting pickup for me, because it actually does look pretty good here. Let's go ahead and pick it up right now. Now, as you saw at the beginning of this video, as we did the unbagging of this, unboxing and unbagging, there's some serious things you will want to be worried about when you're obviously taking this guy out of the box. Primarily, it's the fact that this is all made of, I'm guessing, a resin. Flipping this upside down, it doesn't actually say. It says premium quality collectibles. And then, of course, it's got the main website from Royal Baubles, www.royalbaubles.com. But it certainly does feel like it's resin. Just checking on the box if it actually does say. I don't think it does. Perhaps it does. And maybe I'm not just seeing it. But it does make for a more heavier statue, and it certainly makes for things that could be more breakable on the statue as well. Like, for example, the front of the chainsaw. Like, for example, the main biggest issue really being the bobblehead. The bobblehead, as you saw in the beginning, is carefully wrapped. There's a little bit of like packing foam underneath the collar of the head just to prevent this from bobbling around and breaking on you. I will say, though, as just a standalone point, the one that I saw on the shelf, I'm assuming that these were all hand-painted, actually looked a little bit better than the one I ended up grabbing. They had the one on the floor model, the floor display piece, and then they had several ones behind it. Well, when I had gone back, they only had one left in a box behind it. And of course, I did grab that one. The one that was on the floor didn't seem to have as much of the blue in the hair. I noticed on mine, at least, there's a whole lot more blue happening, or sort of an off grayish blue happening in the hair. It doesn't look bad, but I do think the floor model had just more solid black. And I think it would have looked a lot better with the figure. Of course, as you can see, he's walking through the grassy knoll, pursuing perhaps Sally Hardesty. As you can see, there's the grass sculpted on both the sides. Some decent, actually, dirt terrain that he's walking on. Now, he doesn't seem to be running in this case, nor does he seem to be swinging his chainsaw. And while it would have been nice to see a swinging chainsaw-wielding Leatherface as a bobblehead, I can imagine with the heads and the arms being higher and the chainsaw being up at the top here, it probably would make for a more fragile bobblehead. Instead, what we get here is him keeping it pretty close quarters. You can see the chainsaw is nicely sculpted. The coloring is a bit off, but other than that, it's a nice looking chainsaw. Of course, he is dressed as the pretty woman, so he's got himself his suit with the notable striped tie. I always wondered this pattern. Who would be picking out a tie that looks like this? It looks like kind of a wad of chewed up bubble gum. Of course, probably should not have said that in front of Leatherface. He probably won't take too kindly of it. And being, of course, that it is also the pretty woman, you got the blush there on the side, a little bit of rouge, and a little bit of lipstick. He does pretty himself up rather nice for dinner, doesn't he? Now, as well, I don't know if you can actually see it, but they did take the time to actually sculpt the eyes. Can you actually see that? Maybe you can't. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Let me know if you can. The eyes are actually in there, but they're so dark, and the sockets are so dark, it's really hard to make it out. On the side, just where, of course, the rest of his skin mask finishes, you can see that his real ears are underneath that, and some cool little stitching that they've sculpted to the side as well. Like, it's a really decent-looking bobblehead. I still would have wanted to get the Michael Myers first, especially with this being the Spottober season after all. But I gotta say, like, this one does look quite good. The coloring on all his jacket and his pants matching the top to the bottom, a nice blue that they've used. Got some nice wrinkles there done on the pants, the top of the jacket. He's even got the little bracelet there painted very nicely on his wrist as well. Of course, living up to the namesake, it is a bobblehead after all. Now, you wouldn't want to be frantically bobbling this because there's always the risk that that could crack. Underneath, you can maybe see that there's the spring that attaches the inside, where the top of the neck would attach the inside cavity of the head. And like I said, it bobbles back and forth. Price point, by the way, for this, I think was about $37. If this had been made, of course, of plastic, then it probably would have been a little bit less. But you tend not to get high-quality bobbleheads like this, at least, done in a plastic. It's usually close to being like a resin. And even though I would have to go back and check the box, I'm pretty sure it is resin that they ended up making this from. It's well painted, and it looks like it's also been hand-painted. I wish, though, I could have maybe had a... Not that I would be able to take it back now and ask, hey, can I swap it with the one that you have on the floor model? Somebody probably would be looking behind the counter at me strangely. Well, why does he want to change? What's wrong with the one that he's bringing back? Is it cursed? Realizing, of course, that this person in front of me is talking loudly and not just thinking those thoughts. No, it's not cursed. It's just the fact that the one that you had on the floor looked a lot nicer, had darker hair. Oh, okay. I thought it was cursed. As I said, though, this is a Halloween Spirit Store Halloween exclusive. I think as well the Michael Myers, and I believe as well the Ghostface, one that I will be picking up a little bit later after, of course, filming this review. And you guys seeing this, I might already have the Ghostface in possession. I may have to check around to other Spirit Halloween stores, not benefiting from the fact that the one I was going to was now 5 minutes down the road. But I think there's another one about 10 to 15 minutes down the road the other direction. I might hit that one up and see if they have the Michael Myers. Still, though, it's a nice looking Leatherface. I mean, normally when we get ourselves Leatherface collectibles, few and far between, we're getting a lot more, it seems, of Pretty Woman than we did before. It usually is always the apron, wearing maniac Leatherface. This is a nice change. I always do like the Pretty Woman look on Leatherface a little bit more. And I gotta say, it's a nice looking bobblehead. If you're into collecting those, that is. Just before we actually hit the rotisserie here in the bobblehead of Leatherface, I did actually go back and check the box, and while there is a nice little read-up, a description on the side that is the narrative that John Larroquette reads at the beginning of the 74, there is nothing to mention actually what material that they used for the bobblehead, but judging by the weight and sort of that, there's a tappingness, especially in the part of that bobblehead, that if you hear it, the way it rattles, you can usually tell right away it's made of resin. And that's what I suspect this to be the case when it comes to the Pretty Woman Leatherface. It's been all done and hand-painted in resin. And probably one of the reasons why the hair on this one seems notably a lot more grayer. It's got a lot more of that blue wash, that kind of grayish wash in the hair. Where the one that was the floor sample, should I really go back? Excuse me, I'd like to exchange this. Well, was there something wrong with it, sir? No, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that mine has more gray hair than the one that you have on the floor. Can I exchange those two? Seriously, it's not cursed. But yeah, the one that they had on the floor, and just unfortunately being the case that these are all hand painted, you're going to have some that maybe look a little bit different than others. The one that maybe they just happened to pick the best one of the box. They were just lucky. They pulled it out. Hey, that looks pretty good. Not that this one doesn't look any bit better or any bit worse. It's just the fact that this one does have a little bit more of the grayer hair that I'm not thinking I like as much. If it was just all more black, I think it would work quite better for the bobblehead. Of course, as a bobblehead, you can see right now, even as it spins around, it's bobbling its head successfully. Not a bobblehead you may want to be putting in your car. I know some people like to put bobbleheads on their dashboard. And while the idea of maybe putting a bobbling Leatherface may sound cool, doing it with a resin bobblehead is a no-no idea. It's only going to break. You're only going to cry. And you're going to be screaming down the road as if somebody's chasing you with a chainsaw. That's a horrible impression of a chainsaw. But what do you guys, though, think of the Royal Baubles Leatherface, the pretty woman Leatherface Bobblehead, which was actually, again, a spirit Halloween? That's a lot just to throw into a title. I'm even thinking it right now as I'm talking away to you, the viewing audience. How am I going to put that all in the title? I'm going to have to condense it. I'm going to have to abbreviate. Either way, though, like I said, this is a Spirit Halloween exclusive. So either if you had a local store, you could go in there and find these at your local stores, or you can also order it online as well in case you don't have a Spirit Halloween like four minutes down the road from your house. That's asking serious. I've seriously gone back there now 3 times. Thank goodness, each time I've gone back, it's been different people behind the desk. Nobody is none the wiser that I keep coming back over the span of 2 weeks. I've gone back now 3 times. I'm probably going to go back a 4th time. That's the problem that's going to be facing you when you have a store that opens up 4 minutes down the street from you. Either way, though, what do you guys think, though, of the pretty woman Leatherface? Let me know down below in the comments section. And certainly, if you enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you're loving the content you're seeing and certainly want to stick around for more, just an FYI, howling to you in the back catacombs of this building. Wait, we had catacombs? Hiding in the back will be a whisper just to tell you there's more spooky spots coming your way this month. This month, there's going to be more coming your way. So yes, if you don't want to be missing out on any of that, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button down below. Make sure you're turning on the bell notification and making sure you're keeping your peepers as ghoulishly peeled as you possibly can, because there's definitely going to be a lot more spooky spots coming your way. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Didn't mean to say that so loudly. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.